Hi everyone, this video is a little experiment because I wanted to show you how shamanic journeying can help you to answer really important questions in your life and why it is a good idea to learn shamanic journeying and to discover shamanism, because it's an amazing toolbox that you can use in order to answer questions that you have in your private life, as well as questions that are concerning all of us. And today I'm here in my backyard. I have a little gazebo where I do my shamanic work. I have my candles and my incense. And so I thought, what if I'm just, presenting you shamanism in real time? So I thought, what is a question that is really important right now, people are interested in? So I Googled it and found that there was one of the questions that says, do our actions really matter? So meaning what we do every day, is that really important? Or does it matter? Doesn't it matter at all? Doesn't it matter what we're doing here? Does our life matter or doesn't it matter? And I think it's a really cool question, and also obviously a very important question. And this question I will ask my spirits today on a shamanic journey, and after that journey, I will present you the results, and then we'll see what my spirits come up with, what kind of answer. Of course, I asked my spirits before what they think about this idea, and I thought it's actually really cool, because I have the impression that the spiritual world wants to be out there, wants to be seen, spirit power animals wants to be fined by their humans, and shamanic methods can really help us in our everyday life to make it more fulfilled and happy, to give us guidance and security, and just that safety of feeling guided and having answers for the questions that we need to have an answer for. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Maddie. I'm a biologist and author and a shamanic practitioner. And on my channel, Old Wisdom New Life, it's all about what we can learn from indigenous people, not only about shamanism and spirituality, but also about just in general, eating and lifestyle and all these kind of topics. If you never heard about shamanism, I'll just give you a brief background so you understand what I'm actually doing here. Shamanism is a key word, kind of an umbrella word for all kinds of different methods that anthropologists have observed in indigenous tribes. And these methods have the goal to connect these people with the spiritual world. So the methods basically change the consciousness so that you can perceive a different reality. And the methods are drumming. That's why I have my drum right there. So I'll use it in a second for this journey. And it can also be rattling. It can be dancing and singing. Also, like physical stress, high endurance. If we fast, that's also one way actually to change the consciousness. And this is also something that has actually been scientifically proven, that when we are on a shamanic journey, our brainwaves change, and they change into the so-called theta brainwave state. I think that's how it's called. So what basically happens in our brain is that the nerve cells, they are all firing more or less at the same time. So they're more synchronized. That's why we have a kind of like a high wave. The wave is pretty big, and you can see it on an EEG that is kind of recording your brain waves from the skull. And so this basically means that our nerve cells are very synchronized. They're working synchronized. And also what happens is that the focus goes more inward. And so we are not really perceiving our environment with our senses that much anymore. Also, our visual center is activated. So we do see pictures, although we have our eyes closed. And also the emotional center is activated, and new pathways are kind of explored. We have new insights. So it's a really cool state to be in, and I find it very interesting that this is what you can actually measure when people go on a shamanic journey. So as I said, from an indigenous point of view, this is not just because it's fun, right? But there is it has a big meaning to it. So the shamanic work is an important tool to answer questions, specifically for these tribes who live in and from nature and who are dependent on food, finding food and shelter in nature. So Usually the shaman connects with the spirits on this level. He or she goes on a shamanic journey and asks questions in order to get valuable answers. And as I said, this is what I'm going to do right now with the question, do our actions matter? See you in a bit. Bye-bye. So welcome back. I journeyed to my spirits and I asked them the question, how our actions influence our environment, or how important our actions actually are. And the answer was not really clear. They said it actually depends on where you look at. When we are in the middle world, where we have, like materialized things, so where we are materialized, then of course our actions have a different influence than whether we would be not materialized if we wouldn't have a body. So I got the picture of a lake where you throw in a stone and the stone makes these waves on the water. And if you have a couple people who are interacting with each other, these waves are actually interacting with each other. So we're always influencing each other. And of course that has an impact on the reality that we perceive in the world. And we can see this, the news. I'm not watching news, but if you do, you'll see all these horrible stories, all these horrible news about people, going to war with each other, environmental destruction, all that. And this is basically the result of the decisions that we make as humans when we are in fear, when we are angry, when we are doubting, or when we are jealous. And so we just want to fight each other, and we're making decisions that are not really aligned with our true nature, with who we really are. And that's what my spirit said, that this is important to understand, that we all have these roles, we all have these masks that we put on, and we learn how to act during our childhood in order to protect ourselves, in order to make sure that we survive, even in an environment that is not safe for us, when our parents were not able to take proper care of us. So we had to find strategies in order to survive. And these strategies are still within us, many of us. And that means that we react aggressive, we withdraw ourselves, we act from a victim mode, and because this is what we learned, this is what worked for us when we were kids. But now we're adults, and specifically our actions have impact on our lives, and we all shape our realities. And if we don't address these roles, if we don't address the traumas that we carry with us, then we make decisions from these places where we're angry, we're sad, we feel like a victim. And eventually, of course, that shapes our reality. So my spirits told me, in order to change this, in order to make better decisions that inevitably also, of course, change our world, is that we need to find this place within us where we really are ourselves. That I would say, they didn't mention the word, but I would say this is where our spirit lives. And they kept showing me the heart area. So I'm not, although I'm working shamanically, I'm not that esoteric, everything is light type, not at all. I have an academic background. So I'm very much in touch with also my logic part. That's why I always, try to reframe this and also ask, what do you really mean with my heart? But my experience shows me that it really makes a big difference whether you are in your heart, whether you are in body and in the body and making decisions, or you are in your brain and you're acting from an old pattern, you're acting unconscious, from an unconscious point of view, because then you make different decisions. And how can you change this? By really taking pauses before you make an action. Before you do something important, or also maybe not so important in your life, take a break, take a pause, and really observe yourself and see, okay, where is this that where's it coming from? The next action I would take, is that coming from a place of being connected with life, being happy with myself, being aware of my responsibility in this world? Or is it coming from a place of anger? Is it coming from my 5-year-old who's really angry right now? My 5-year-old who doesn't know what to do and just withdraw herself or is running away from the situation? So when we learn what coping mechanisms we built when we were a kid, then we can definitely look at them and resolve them. Also, my spirits told me that go into nature, ground yourself, sit on the floor, sit on the soil, in the ground, have your hands in the soil. Maybe you'll lay down or you have your back on a tree, but make sure you ask a tree before you do that. And this is how you discharge, and this is how you calm your nervous system and make good decisions, which also, of course, have impact on our lives. And so, yeah, I do think that, it really depends on the dimension. That's what my spirits also showed me. It depends on this dimension, the importance of our actions. They do have consequences, of course they do. But also, if you look at in a bigger picture, it all kinds of, it seemed like it all kind of blurs into one big thing, and little decisions may have not so much impact. As if there's a German saying, it's like, who cares if a sack of rice falls over in China? But right? Because it doesn't concern me in that one point. It might over different kind of steps, but not directly. So there is definitely not a yes or no answer, but it's more like it depends. But in general, what they said is make sure that you act from a point of connectedness, from a point of being full-hearted and a happy being. So, yeah. If you like this format, please let me know. Then I will be happy to do this more often, where I have questions, and you can also send me questions, and I go on a shamanic journey and see what my spirits have to say about that. And if you want to know more about the whole process, like how the shamanic journey works, how to start learning it yourself, then you can also please leave me a comment. I'll make more videos about it. And meanwhile, you can start here with this video where I'll tell you how to get to know your spirit animal, which is one of the most important allies that we have. And I think it's such a shame that so many people never meet their spirit animal, because it's such an amazing experience. And I wish that for everyone. So thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.